So, hello everyone. Once again, I'm happy to welcome you all to the Zoho Creator Learning Table series for the month of February. So, let's start with the session. To say about this Learning Table series, this is a monthly free webinar which is usually conducted at the first week of the month. So this year we have taken the learning table series to be a feature based approach. As you all know, in Zoho Creator we have multiple features, right? So we will be talking about how the features can help us to automate many different business processes. So in that flow, this month we will be talking about streamlining instant management process with Zoho Creator. So, in order to explain you the topic, so every business process you take, there will be some instance or exceptions that needs to be managed. So, we will be talking about how the Zoho Creator feature help us to build a model that can streamline this instant management process in a more enhanced way. So before I start the session, let me introduce myself. This is me Preeti Venkatesh and I'm going to be the trainer of today's session. And again, during the session, if you have any questions or queries regarding the training that we are conducting, please post it in the question tab. My co-trainer will be happy to answer your questions. Now let's start with the session. So this is going to be the agenda with which I'll be taking you people throughout the session. First, I'll give an introduction, that is introduction to what is Zoho Creator. Followed by that, we will be talking about something called as why operational gaps exist. That is, what is the how why the incidents or exception exist and how Zoho Creator can help us to enable a model which can resolve the exceptions that are happening within the business process you're going to build. And in order to support that, we have taken a use case and we'll be demonstrating the same use case in the live demonstration. Followed by that, we'll be talking about other beyond the use case that we are taking, where the model we are going to build will fit in. Finally, we will conclude the session by giving some key takeaways. This is going to be the structure with which I'll be taking you people throughout the session. Again, if you have any questions, post it in the question tab which is available in the left corner of your screen. My co-trainer will be happy to answer your questions. Now let's start with the introduction. What is Zoho Creator? Let me give a quick overview about the product. Zoho Creator is a low-code application development platform. So this is not only an application development platform, but it is a combination of application development, business intelligence and analytics. We can build smart integration. We can manage the process automations on a single click. All these things can be performed within a single platform, enabling the teams to design and deliver end-to-end business solution more effectively. So this is all about the Zoho Creator platform we are going to explore. Now let's talk about today's topic, that is operational gaps. Why operational gap exists? First of all, what is this operational gap? So operational gaps are not rare. They are like normal in every business process you take. They can appear when an approval is delayed, or when whether if there is any SLA breaches made or deadlines missed, or if there is any data inconsistency in your business process you're going to make use of, or if there is any policy or rules that are not followed within a business process, or if there is any ownership that is unclear for that particular business. So these are the places where the operational gap exists. Exception handling is the technique how organization stays in control and resolves the operational gaps or bridges the operational gaps on the timely manner. So now, what is this exception handling? First of all, what is exception? An exception in any records that needs an immediate attention to prevent the business impact is called as the exception. So, if I want to explain it in a more easier way, let's take some examples. Like when I take an invoice management application, there might be multiple unpaid invoices which are unpaid across the due date, right? So that is an exception that is available in the invoice management. Let's take another scenario. approval. So let's say I'm just going to manage the approval process within my within my business. So this approval process can have multiple levels of approval. Let's say approval is stuck somewhere, or only a partial approval is made for a leave request or the expense request. So that is an exception that needs an immediate attention, right? So let's say if there is any SLA breach or deadlines that has been missed to submit a project, so that is an exception that needs an action. Or if there is any records that are missing, incorrect, or inconsistent data, so exception can be anywhere within a business process, within a particular business process. Again, exception is not an error, it is a signal that system needs an action to protect or prevent that exception, or to prevent the business continuity by avoiding the exception that is happening within their business. So this is an exception. So how we can detect and resolve this exception? That's the place where we are going to build a model called as smart instant management idea. So we'll be creating a common model, instant management model, which can fit in into any business process, that can automatically detect the exception and helps the right person to resolve the exception. This model will include the deduction. First, it will go through the records or the information that is available within our business or within the application, and detects what are the places the exceptions are available, and this detects the exceptions or the issues automatically without any human intervention. So once the detection is done, next we need to notify the right person about the exception that has been detected. So now the right person knows that where is the exception is. And the next step, he will be finding a solution in order to resolve the exception that has been detected. So the right person who was notified about the exception has to find a resolution. And again, he can even make use of the intelligence to get the decision, to get the recommendation to decide how to resolve the exception that has happened. So this is the smart instant management module. First of all, we will be detecting the exception that is happening within the application, and once it is detected, we will notify the right person about the exception that has been detected, and the right person will be finding a resolution for the exception with the help of the intelligence. So this model is not specific to a single industry. This pattern can repeat across different departments and the different industries. The same model. Only the deduction criteria you're going to write in order to detect the exception differs depending upon the business process you're going to take. So this is about the smart instant management model I was talking about. And how we can build this model with the help of the Zoho Creator platform. Let's talk about that now. How Zoho Creator enables it. Zoho Creator consists of multiple features that can help us to build or automate the business process. So for this scenario, for this model, Smart Instant Management model, we have taken few creator features. The first feature is the scheduler workflow. So as you all know, scheduler workflow runs on the timely basis, either on a fixed date and time or based on a specific date and time that is available in a form, right? So this scheduler runs in the daily basis and detects the exceptions or the issues automatically which are available within your business application. And the second feature is notification pan. So now the scheduler will detect the exception. And next we have the feature called as notification pan. It sends the notification to the right person about the exception that has been detected by the scheduler. And third, we have the blueprint. So now the person has been notified. He has to take steps to resolve that exception, right? So we'll be making use of the blueprint to control the resolution that is going to be taken by the respective person. And finally, we have the AI agent that helps us to add intelligence to the decision the person will be taking in order to resolve the exception that has been generated. So basically, scheduler will be detecting the exception, and the notification pan will help us to notify the right person. Blueprint will just help us to control the resolution progress, and AI agent will be helping us to add the intelligence. Let me explain that in detail. So here, as I said earlier, scheduler workflow act as a detection layer. It automatically detects the operational gaps that are available, and once it is detected, it just creates an exception record in the real time, and it also assigns the right person who will be handling that particular exception. The scheduler workflow can even set the priority and classify the exception that it has detected. So it can do all these things. And most important part, this helps us to remove the dependency on manual monitoring of a business process. Again, this scheduler will act as a detection layer which automatically detects the exception. And second is the notification pane, which acts as a visibility layer. It instantly notifies the user about the new exception record that has been created by the scheduler. And again, it creates a real-time visibility. It reduces the delays that will be taken to respond to that particular exception. Basically, it prevents the exception from being missed. So that's why we are just making use of the notification plan as the visibility layer for this smart instant management model. And third feature is the blueprint. So as you all know, blueprint helps us to manage the entire business automation, right? So here, blueprint acts as a control layer. It defines the resolution stages automatically, like what should the particular person should do. Like he has to go through the records and check why the exception is occurred. So all those exception stages will be monitored or controlled with the help of the blueprint. And also we can track the progress of the exception handling at a very easy step. So that's why we are using the blueprint as the control layer for the smart instant management model that we are going to build. And finally, we have the AI agent which act as an intelligence layer. Obviously, it automatically helps us to classify the risk level of the exception that has been created by the scheduler. It identifies the root cause and also provides the actionable recommendation to the person who will be taking care of the resolution progress. Basically, it enhances the human decision making skill, or it enhances the human decision making in order to find the resolution for the exception that has been created. So now we have a clear idea about what is this exception model we are going to build. Now let's talk about how it is going to fit in into different industries. So the first industry I'm going to talk is exceptions for the operations industry. When I talk about operations, the first thing that comes into my mind is the order management, right? So order management is the most commonly used business application. So we will be having the product inventory stored within our application, and the customers will be placing the orders for the product that is available within the inventory. And once the order is placed, the order will be delivered to the right customer at the right time. So basically, order will be placed from the products that is available, and once the order is placed, the delivery will be made. So where are the places the exception can happen in this particular order management? So obviously the exception can be in anywhere, like it can be in the order module, or it can be in the delivery module, any place. So in the order module, let's take for example a few of the exceptions. Like in the order module, there might be any quantity mismatch that are available. So the customer has placed an order, but the particular item is out of stock, or if there is any duplicate order, incorrect order details like the shipping address of the person is wrong, or the customer contact information is incorrect. So incorrect order details is a major exception that needs attention. Payment not received. If the order allows approval is pending for more than certain amount of days, or if there is any order cancellation request once the dispatch is done. So these are the places where exception can happen in this particular order module. Similarly, In the delivery module, the exception can be a delayed delivery, or delivery location is wrong, or damaged product is delivered to the customer, or only partial delivery is made and there are some more deliveries that needs to be added or delivered soon, or if there is any issue with the carrier or the transport that is going to deliver the products. So these are the places where the exception can happen in this particular delivery module. So now we know a few of the exceptions that will be happening in the order module and the delivery module. So now what we will do is we will make use of the model we discussed just before in the before slide, and we'll make use of the model to identify the exception that are available in this particular order management and how to resolve that particular exception in a more structured way with the help of the Zoho Creator feature. So first and the foremost step is deduction. So we have to detect where the exception is and what the exception is, right? So whether the exception is in the order module or in the delivery module, or if what type of exception that is, all those things will has to be detected as the first step. Second step is notify the right person. If the exception is regarding the inventory, obviously inventory manager has to be informed or notified about the exception. Or let's say if the exception is in the delivery, like dispatch, so dispatch manager or logistics manager has to be notified about the exception that has been detected. So the right person has to be notified about the exception that has been detected by my deduction model. And next is the resolution. So once the logistic manager is informed about the exception, he has to start working on finding the resolution in order to resolve that exception that has been raised. And even he can make use of the intelligence before trying to solve or resolve the exception that has been detected. So for in order to create this model for detection, we'll be using scheduler workflow. Again, for the notification, we'll be using notification pan. For resolution, we'll be using blueprint to give a control of the resolution that is going to happen. And for the intelligence, we'll be using the AI agent. So these are my Zoho Creator features. Now let's see the model in the live demo. So this is my Zoho Creator application. In the Zoho Creator application, first industry that we have taken is the operations, and in that we are going to talk about the order management application. Let me open this application in the new tab. Before talking about the exception, let me explain you what are the modules that are available in this order management application. So we have the product module where the product name, stock and quantity, unit price and the reorder level are stored. And then we have the order form with which the customers will be placing the order by giving their information. And then we have the report where all the order details will be visualized. And if the logistics manager or dispatch manager wants to create a delivery, he can just simply click on create delivery, and he can give the quantity to be delivered, and the product status will be changed as delivered. And we have the delivery module. Once the delivery is created, a record will be created in the delivery module, from where you can get to see the status of the delivery that has been made. And also we can get to see whether the full product is delivered or only the partial product is delivered, depending upon the full quantity delivered boolean value that is available. And this is what the order management application consists of. It consists of a product module, orders, and the delivery module. And one more thing, it consists of something called as in charge. So every exception has to be handled by a person or by the right person, right? For example, if there is an exception in the order, obviously it goes into the inventory manager. Or if there is any exception in the delivery module, depending on the exception type, it goes either to the logistics manager or to the dispatch manager. Depending upon the exception that has been created, the right person has to be assigned to that particular exception. And finally, this is my exception form. So in this exception form, we will be having the module name, source type, either the source type is the order or the delivery, like the exception is found in the order module or in the delivery module. And what is the record ID of the exception that has been created, and the type of the exception, and depending on the type of the exception, who is going to handle that exception, that is the in charge, and so information will be captured in this exception model. We are not going to create it manually, so we have created a deduction model which will help us to find the exception that is available within my order and the delivery module. Let me go to the edit mode of my application first. So in the edit mode under workflows, we have a workflow called as scheduler workflow. As I said earlier, scheduler workflow will be acting as the deduction layer. So let me click on the deduction, and this scheduler workflow will be running on the daily basis. So it will be running on the daily basis around 9 a.m. in the morning, and it is started to run from 23rd of January. So once I open this function, you can get to see the criteria I have written in order to detect the exception that is available within my application. So here you can get to see if there is, or if the order is not delivered, I'm creating an exception. If there is any stock shortage, I'm creating an exception. If there is any delayed delivery, like the date of delivery is greater than the estimated date of delivery, or if there is any wrong product delivered, or if there is any partial delivery made or over delivery made. So these are the exception criterias I'm writing and creating or inserting a record into my exception module and assigning an in charge for that. Since it's a partial delivery, I'm assigning the dispatch manager for this particular exception. Since it is a over delivery, I'm assigning the inventory manager. And if there is any stock shortage, obviously I'll be assigning the inventory manager. So depending upon the type of the exception, I'm just assigning the in charge accordingly, and I've created the function of fetch function in order to fetch the in charge informations from my in charge module that I have. So before executing this scheduler workflow manually, let us try to create a order and show you how the order form will work. So we have the products, right? Let me try to create a order for today under the name Preeti Venkatesh, and I'm giving the email. And the products I'm going to order is, let's say I'm going to order office chair for 50, and let's say I'm going to order monitor 10. So you can get to see the products that has been ordered, and I'll be giving an shipping address. And the estimated date of delivery to be 7th of February. So now I have created an order. Once I submit it, the order will be created in my all orders module. It can be visualized in my all orders module. So you can get to see the customer name, products, total amount, and so on. So let's say I'm just going to create a delivery. So the delivery agent or the logistics manager will get notified about the order that has been placed. He'll be creating the delivery. You'll go and check the stock whether the office chair is available completely. I'll be delivering 50 of it. And let's say monitor is not available, only 5 monitors are available. So remaining 5 has to be delivered. So once I submit it, you can get to see only partial delivery has been made. And in the delivery module as well, you can get to see only partial delivery has been made. If the full delivery is made, the full quantity delivered field will be marked as true. So now this is how we create an order and we create a delivery. Now let's see some of the exceptions that are available manually, and then we'll talk about how this function is going to work. So let me close this. Yeah. So let's take the first record. So this is my order date, and this is my estimated delivery date, right? So you can get to see estimated delivery date is a past date. Today is 5th of Feb, but it is a past date. But only partial delivery has been made. So that is an exception that needs an immediate attention to be taken care. And again, if I just go to some more thing, like for example, let's say the estimated date of delivery is 3rd Feb, but the delivery is made only today, that is 5th. So obviously there is some delay in the delivery, right? So that is an exception that needs an attention. So detecting it manually is going to be a bit time consuming task, like going through all the delivery and the order, and detecting it is going to be a time consuming task, right? In order to avoid that only, we have created an exception model that will automatically go through the records, both the order and the delivery module, and check for the exception and create an exception record by assigning an in charge. Let me just simply execute this scheduler workflow in order to show you how it works. Now, if I go to the exception, I can get to see these many exceptions that are available. So we have exceptions in the order module, like order not delivered, and there is some stock shortage, and there is a delayed delivery, only partial delivery is made. There are so many exception types that has been captured. And one more interesting part is the in charge has been automatically assigned. So we already have an in-charge module, right? Jessica is going to be the inventory manager. So what are the exceptions that are available according depending on the inventory, like stock shortage? Automatically, it has been assigned to Jessica. And here, John is going to be the operations manager, right? He has been assigned with the order not delivered information and so on. So he'll be taking care of why the order is not delivered. And delayed delivery, Kevin is going to be the logistics manager, and I'll be requesting logistic managers to check why there is a delay in the delivery. So this is how the exception will be created with the help of the scheduler workflow that we built. And again, the criteria you're writing inside the scheduler workflow depends upon the business process you're going to build this model for. So next step is finding the resolution. So let's say John will be clicking on this record and going through the exceptions that has been created. For the order ID 114, there is an exception that the order is not yet delivered. If I go over here for 114, obviously the order is not delivered, but the due date is the past date. It's not the current date, right? So that's why an exception has been created. Now we has resolved. Now we have found why the exception is. You can just simply click on in progress, and from here the blueprint will help John to find an resolution. So what is behind this blueprint? Let me go to the blueprint and show you what is behind this blueprint. Yeah, it's going to be pretty simple. First, the exception will be opened. Once he has detected the exception, he will be changing it as in progress. Once the exception is resolved, he'll be adding the exception resolution notes, and he'll be closing the particular exception that has been created. So this is what this blueprint is going to do. Let's say John has resolved this particular issue. You'll be saying like issue resolved, or the order has been informed to deliver. So once he has given the resolution notes, he can just simply go and close this ticket. Close this exception. So in this, you can get to see the resolution note he has added will be available in the detail view. So this is how a blueprint will help us to find the resolution. And one more interesting part is getting the intelligence help. So we have a button called as AI recommendation, right? What this AI recommendation is does in the sense, it goes through the records that is available within your application, goes through all the order information, delivery information, exception record. Depending on that, it just classifies the risk level of this particular exception that has been created, and it just gives a recommendation for this same. Behind this AI recommendation, we have something called as AI agent, which will be available under the microservices AI model, and this is the AI agent that is built for the operations industry. So let me edit this. In order to build the AI agent, first we need to define the agent, that is give instruction to the agent what it has to do, give the supporting actions, and in the summary endpoint URL will be provided. In order to define the agent, we have to give it in the simple natural language, like you are an operations intelligent analyst. I'll be giving you details like the exception type, source record, order information, and the delivery information that are available within my application. Please go through these information and return me with the results strictly in the JSON format. I need the risk level of the particular exception and a recommendation to resolve that particular exception. So this is what the AI agent will be performing depending upon the instruction that you're going to give. And the next step is we have already said to the AI agent, right, I'll be giving you these informations, right? So that is what we will be providing in this particular tool. So this tool will consist of the information about the order details and the delivery details that we will be passing via the deluge function. So when I go to the functions, I have created a function called as exception agent, where I am passing the exception type, source record, order information and the delivery information for my AI agent to work perfectly. So once all these informations are given, it will be giving me a summary where the endpoint URL will be available. In order to use this AI agent within your application, obviously you have to write an invoke function, like giving the like give me the risk level and recommendation, passing the exception record id and calling the endpoint URL. Once it is done, I'll be invoking this particular function within my report. I'll be calling this invoke function within my AI recommendation button by calling that particular function, and once the function is called, it returns me with the risk level and the recommendation. Now let me show you how it is going to work. Let's say Jessica, the inventory manager, has to check stock shortage, right? She doesn't know what to do in this case. She can simply click on the AI recommendation. This AI recommendation will go through the records that we have in our application and creates the risk level and creates the recommendation action as well. So what Jessica has to do. So let it load. Just a minute, I'll just click on it once again. Yeah. You can get to see it is just giving the risk level to be high, and it is asking Jessica to reorder 10 units of laptop from Technoworld vendor immediately to meet the required quantity of 60 units. So this is nothing but, let's go to the order record 114, right? So in the 114 order record, the particular person Rajkumar has ordered 60 laptops, but in the inventory we have only 50 laptops, right? So that's why it is asking Jessica to order 10 more laptop from the vendor Technoworld, which is available within the product module itself, and it is asking her to restock it. And let's take one more example, order not delivered. So John has been assigned to that. John does not know what to do if the order is not delivered, and he'll be simply clicking on the AI recommendation. This AI recommendation module will just go through the records and says John recommends John, right, contact the Technovel vendor to do expedite the delivery of 10 monitors as is not delivered and expected delivery days far in future. Additionally, check the stock level as well in order to avoid the delays that will be happening. So this is what AI is recommending John to do. He can simply follow the recommendation and resolve that particular exception. Let's take one more, delayed delivery. So let me create the AI recommendation. So Kevin will be just clicking on the button. AI will just provide a recommendation, right? Immediately escalate the issue to the logistic team to investigate why the delay has happened and arrange a shipping to fulfill the order as soon as possible. And if there is any partial delivery, let me check. Depending upon the information you're giving the AI agent, it provides an recommendation along with the risk level. So it is also providing the risk level to be medium, because this partial delivery has some date to be delivered. Like, let's take the order, like order delivery number is 21, right? Yeah, 21. The order number is 120, which is created just today, right? So we have the estimated delivery date to be till Saturday. That's why this RAA is recommending the risk level to be medium. So depending upon the information, it is just providing the user with the right recommendation which they can follow for resolving the issue, the exception that has been created. So this is all about the order management application. So what we will do is, let's take one more industry. Let's take finance industry, and we'll be talking about how the same smart instant management model we created today will fit in into the finance industry. In this finance industry, we have taken the use case to be invoice management. So we have the vendor information, and we'll be generating the invoice for the vendors, and the vendors will make the payment across the invoice that we have generated. So this is what we are going to manage within the Zoho Creator application. So where are the exceptions that can happen in these modules? When I take the vendor module, the exception can be missing bank details, or if the vendor is inactive or blacklisted, or if the tax or the GST information provided by the vendor is invalid, or complaints documents are missing, or the vendor has high outstanding balance. So these are the exceptions that can happen within this vendor module. Similarly, when I take the invoice module, there might be some unapproved invoice, duplicate invoice that are available, or if the invoice amount is mismatched, or if there is any overdue for the invoice, that is, invoice is unpaid across the due date. So these are the exceptions that can happen within the invoice module that we are creating. And again, in the payment module, obviously duplicate of failed payments, payment to the wrong vendor, payment reference that is the transaction ID is not is missing or not available, or the payment is done without approval that it needs, or if there is any payment mode missing. So these are the different places exception can happen within this finance module, that is the insurance management application. So let's fit in the same model like detect, notify, resolution, and intelligence model, and resolve the exceptions that are happening within this particular invoice management application. So you will be directly going into the live demonstration and see how it is managed. Let me close all those things, go to the solutions again. So this time we are going to discuss about the invoice management application that is available. Let me open it in a new tab. Yeah. So in this invoice management application, we have few informations like vendor information, and where I can get to see the vendor code, vendor name, vendor status, vendor, if the vendor bank accounts are added or not, total open amount of the particular vendor. And then in the add invoice, whenever I want to generate an invoice across a vendor, I can just simply give the invoice type with vendor for whom I'm going to raise the invoice for, due date, let's say due date is by 6th, that is tomorrow, and the invoice amount is going to be 1200. So once I create the invoice will be visualized in this invoice module, where I can get to see the invoice, auto-generated invoice number, vendor information, invoice date, due date, invoice amount, status of the invoice, and what is the paid amount and what is the balance amount. And also we are including the approval for this particular invoice. What is the status of the approval, and the approved date will be captured in the respective fields. And let's say if the vendor wants to make a payment, you can just simply click on make a payment button. All the invoices generated for this particular vendor will be displayed. So here for beta supplies, we have two invoice. One is invoice 0023, which is unpaid, and then we have one partial paid, that is invoice 0020, right? So these are the two invoices that are open for these beta supplies. So once I make the payment, I can get to see all the invoices that is generated across this vendor has been populated as the subform. So let's say this person is going to pay for the latest only, that is he is going to pay 1000 rupees alone, and is not going to pay any amount for the old invoice. So once he clicks on the submit button, you can get to see the status of the invoice will be changed as partially paid, and the paid amount is 1000 and the balance amount is 200. But if you notice that the invoice is paid without the approval that has been generated, without approving the payment, right? So that's why the payment status is pending over here. So once the payment is made, in the payment record we will be capturing the payments that are made, and once the payment is completed, or if there is any issue with the payment, depending upon that, the concerned person will be changing the status of the payment. This is how we are managing the invoice generation or invoice within this particular application. And once again, we have the in charge information. If there is any exception that is happening in the finance, accounts, or operations, the right person will be assigned to that particular exception. Now let's move on to the exception module. This exception module is pretty similar to the one we discussed for the order management. So here we will be having the source type, that is either the exception is in the invoice payment or on the vendor, source record information, exception type, who is going to be in charge, all those information will be captured in this module. And again, we are not going to create the find the exception in the manual way. We are going to simply make use of the model that we have built in order to detect the exception. So let me just go to the edit mode of my application. So first and the foremost step for this smart instant management model is creating a scheduler workflow as a detection model. So here the model is going to be the same, only the criteria you're going to write in order to detect the exception will differ. So you can get to see I've written criteria to check whether the vendor bank details are missing or added. If it is missing, I need to create an exception. And if the invoice is done or invoice is paid without approval, then we have to create an exception. Or if there is only partial payment is done and remaining has to be paid, I'll be creating an exception and I'll be assigning the finance manager in order to check why the remaining amount is not paid, and he has to follow up with the vendor to get the payment. And let's say we have an approval, right? If the invoice approval is not done more than 2 days, obviously that's an exception. So the person who's in charge of the approval should be notified about it, that is the finance manager. So I'll be creating an exception, unpaid invoice, repeated exception vendor, and so on. So vendor inactivity warning or high open amount for the vendor. All those exceptions can be captured within the scheduler workflow. And again, this deduction module will be running on the daily basis on a particular time that is mentioned over here. Let it open. Mentioned over here, and it creates the exception in the exception module. Let me open it. Yeah, from 26 it has started to run on the daily basis. So in order to explain you more clearly, let me execute it. Before executing it, let's find some of the exceptions manually. So let's first see the overdue. So the due date for this particular invoice is 2nd Feb, but still only partial amount is paid. So this is an exception. And similarly, when I go over here without approval, there are two payment that has been made. So this is an exception. And depending upon the criteria you're going to write to detect the exception will be detected. Let me simply execute this. So once I go to the exception module, I can get to see the exceptions that has been created for the source type, invoice, and the vendor. So for the vendor, we have few vendor details missing, and we have an unpaid invoice, or if there are few invoice without approval, only partial payment that is made. So there are so many exception type that has been detected, and it has been assigned to the right person. For example, vendor details are missing, right? So the vendor's account manager should be notified about it. So we have John as the account manager. That's why it has been assigned to John. And we have Jessica, who is going to be the finance manager. All the invoice payment issues will be assigned to Jessica. So this is how we are creating the exception model with the help of the scheduler workflow. And once again, we will be using the same blueprint in order to resolve it. Let's say Jessica will be resolving this partial payment pending information. She can just simply click on the in progress mode, and she can go over here and resolve it just by the help of the blueprint. The blueprint is going to be pretty similar to the one we did for the order management. So open, in progress. If it is resolved, they will be adding the resolution notes and they will be closing it. And she will be adding the resolution notes like resolved. And once she has updated it, she can simply go and close this particular exception. So this is how we'll be managing the exception with the resolution with the help of the blueprint. Now let's talk about how AI recommendation will help in this particular scenario. Once again, behind this AI recommendation, we have created an AI agent. This is a new different AI agent, but the model is going to be pretty same. This is the agent, exception agent for the finance industry. Let me edit this one. Yeah, So you can get to see the instructions are slightly different, but it is almost the same, right? So you are a finance intelligent analyst. I'll be giving you with so and so information like exception type, source record, payment information, invoice, vendor information. Please analyze these informations and provide me with the risk level and a recommendation in order to avoid that exception from or resolve that particular exception that has been created. So once the instruction is given, I need to give the supporting informations, right? Which I'm going to pass as the deluge function under the finance exception agent. So here you can get to see I'm passing the exception type, source record from my exception module, and I'm passing the invoice information like vendor information, invoice amount, due date, and so and so, and payment information like vendor, payment amount, payment date, payment state, so and so, and also I'm passing the vendor's information into my AI agent. Depending upon the information you are passing it as the tool, it creates an endpoint URL which you can make use of within your application to invoke it, similar to the one we did for the previous example. So I'll be invoking it. The function is going to be pretty similar, only the record ID you're going to pass will be different. So here I'm passing the exception records ID, and I'm using this particular function within my report workflow. So that's why we can get to see AI recommendation. Now let's say Jessica is going to get the help of AI recommendation in order to check why this invoice without approval exception has occurred. So you can simply click on this AI recommendation. Automatically this AI recommendation will give the risk level and then recommendation like obtain the immediate approval for this particular invoice from alpha traders to avoid the potential complaints issue. As the invoice amount, this is my invoice amount, and currently pending approval is due on 6 February. They have some time. And similarly, let's say John is going to get the recommendation to resolve this vendor bank details missing. So they can she can like he can simply click on the recommendation and just gives the detailed information like obtain the bank details from vendor beta supplies immediately to ensure the timely processing of payment, as there is a total open amount of 3400 INR has to be paid from beta supplies, right? And let's say there is an unpaid invoice, they can simply click on it, and we can get to see the recommendation on how to resolve this unpaid invoice. So this is the invoice number which is unpaid, and this is the vendor, and this is the amount that needs to be paid, and it is an overdue amount from, so the due date was on 1st February, but it is an overdue, we are now in 5th February. And similarly, if there is any invoice without approval or partial payment pending, depending upon the information you're going to provide the AI agent with, it automatically gives the recommendation and the risk level. So this is how we are making use of the same instant management model that we created, and we are fitting it into different industries. Let me talk about beyond this operation and finance, how other industries make use of the same model. So when I talk about the HR industry, that is the recruitment process, there might be some employee documents that are missing in the BGB or in the onboarding process. So I need to identify the missing documents, assign the HR owner to escalate the overdue task, and I'll be making use of the blueprint to guide the document collection, and AI recommendation to provide the corrective actions in order to resolve this particular exception. And similarly, when I talk about healthcare, I can detect the missing lab reports that has been detected, and I can assign the responsible staff to find why the missing has happened, and I'll be making use of the blueprint to guide the report collection process, and I'll be using the AI to predict the recurring issues. In this, the clearly you can get to see the model is going to be the same: detect, notify, resolute, and intelligent. Then the Zoho Creator features are going to be the same. Only the criteria you're going to use in order to detect the exception is going to be different for different business process you're going to take. So this is all about the streamlining the smart instant management process with Zoho Creator. Now what I will do is I'll just give a quick key takeaways in order for you to remember what we discussed in the live session before we conclude it. So as you we have a clear idea about what is this exception, right? So many business processes generate exception that is not an error, but it needs an action to be taken care at the right time. So with the help of the Zoho Creator feature, we just built a structured exception handling model that can fit in into many industries, right? The model is going to be detection, notification, and control, which work together to provide a seamless solution. And again, the model that we discussed, the framework that we discussed, applies across teams or across businesses or across industries wherever you want to handle the incidents or the exceptions in a more convenient way. So, this is all about the model I wanted to discuss for today's session. So, if you have any questions related to the training that we handle now, you can post it in the question tab. We'll be happy to answer them. And let me give some upcoming live sessions. So, for the next month, we have planned the learning table series to be conducted on March 5th. Again, this will be conducted in three different time zones. One will be on 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. IST. Second will be on 4 to 5 p.m. IST. And last session will be on 9 to 10 p.m. IST. So, since you have already registered, you'll be getting notification about the next month session as well. So if you want any of your friends or colleagues to join the session, please scan the QR code to give the links to them, or the link will be available in the chat. My co-trainer would have shared it. You can make use of the link and share it with your friends and the colleagues. Apart from Learning Table series, we are conducting another webinar which is called as the Creator Tech Connect series, which completely covers the technical concepts that are available in the Zoho Creator platform. So this month, we are planning to conduct this Creator Tech Connect series on February 12th, that is next week. This is again conducted in three different time zones: 11 a.m. to 12 p.m., 4 to 5, and 9 to 10 p.m. IST. So if you wish to join for this session, you can make use of the QR code or the link available in the chat to register. This month, we have planned to take the topic called as connection and data sources that are available in the Zoho Creator platform, along with some live demonstrations. So this is going to be the topic for this month Creator Tech Connect series. By this, we came to the end of the session. So thank you so much for attending this session. We'll meet again in the next month with the next new feature.